O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Clean your gun and tune your bow. We're the Hunting Collective Show. Calling hunters new and old. The Hunting Collective Show. Where facts are facts and opinions are subjective. You're listening now to the Hunting Collective.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Hunting Collective. I am Benjamin Patrick O'Brien, and I'm joined by Phil T. Engineer. Phil.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, we're in the studio together. Good to see you.
When was the last time that this happened?
I can't remember. We were with Giannis, maybe?
Yeah, we did like an Ask the Eagle thing a while ago.
It's been months and months. I've seen your face. Do I look more accomplished? Do you?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yes.
Then yes.
Yes. You look awful. like you need a nap. I've just touched down last night from Texas, and it is officially, I'm going to need some sort of sound effect, like something really cool. It's officially turkey season. Phil! You feeling it?
There it is. I put the sound in.
Yeah, you feeling it?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
You're not feeling it.
Maybe after I go turkey hunting, I will be feeling it.
I wish you were with me in Texas. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I saw many Instagram comments.
Yeah, where's Phil?
People confused and upset that I wasn't there.
Yeah. And I wonder for like the rest of my hunting career, every time I post something about hunting, people are like, where's Phil? Why is he not with you?
Why aren't you mentoring Phil?
Why aren't you mentoring Phil? He's out somewhere not being mentored by you, and you're out hunting. Official press release style, Phil did not go with me. Would you have?
No, Ben. No, okay, for the people that did comment, Ben did extend me an invite.
I did,
but it was like only a week in advance, and when I've got a family and kids and daycare situations, and it's hard to organize something that last minute. But Ben did invite me, so thank you, Ben.
No problem.
I did not join.
I wish you had come. It was tremendous. Shout out to Greg and Casey and to Marshall, who let me hunt a place. A new ranch. I guess we hunted Friday and Saturday, a new little property I'd never seen. In a wonderful little, it was like idyllic, Phil. It was idyllic. It was like green grass. It's like 6 to 8 inch, really like fluorescent green grass. A lot of open timber for turkeys to eat bugs and just, gobble, and open meadows, a lot of edge ground, like tall trees for them to roost in. It was kind of unbelievable. And I killed Beardzilla. You saw a picture of Beardzilla?
I did.
Now his for everybody that guessed how long his beard was on my Instagram page, it was 11 inches flat. Do you know that's good, Phil?
I don't.
That's amazing.
Okay.
I don't know.
It sounds long.
I don't know what the longest. Let me Google longest turkey beard ever, but it's going to be way longer than 11 inches. But that's the longest. Let's see what it says. Whoa. Cody May of New Boston holds the possible world record for the longest bearded turkey ever. The bird has a 22.5-inch beard. 22.5 inches.
He's dragging on the ground?
Yeah, it's called a rope.
Mm-hmm.
Rope dragger. There's a lot of different names for spurs and beards on turkeys, but that's 11 inches is the biggest one I've ever killed. So I'm going to make a little broom out of it for my office. I'll come
Sure.
sweep off your buttons here.
Oh, thanks.
With it, so no problem.
That'll be nice.
But yeah, he flew down. We were doing a little shout out again to Marshall Seardorf from Texas. He works at Force of Nature Meats. Remember them?
Oh, yeah, of course.
They're awesome. We were hunting together. We sat up. There was 8 gobblers, Phil. 8. As far as I could tell.
And a gobbler is a turkey.
As a turkey, a male turkey. I thought, a lot of times you can tell the difference between a Jake gobble and a Tom gobble.
Mm-hmm.
Tom being a mature turkey of
Yes.
2 years old and older. A Jake being a 1-year-old. Because a Jake's gobble is kind of like he's trying to, like if you were like, what's up, man? Like you're trying to sound serious.
Yeah.
But a Tom's gobble has this extra depth to it.
Sure.
So if you listen to enough of them, you can tell.
The Tom went through puberty in the 8th grade, and his voice has dropped.
Yes.
Yes.
And the Jake. So we set up, I'd say about 200 yards from a roost. And I've been saying the night before over a few beverages that I thought the best time to turkey hunt, Phil, was 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yes, you have said this.
I've said this. The first turkey I killed down in South Texas with my buddy DJ, the day before, we literally just sat and didn't move. And I told him, dude, if we sit here till 10, I think we'll kill a turkey. So we sat in a spot where I knew the turkeys wanted to be. We sat there. It was 9:45 and my ass was anxious. I was like, dude, let's get out of here. Let's go walking around. I stood up. I stretched out. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. We haven't heard a gobble. We had a couple of hens come by. And I was like, I don't know, Evan. We should just go call. Just walk around. We're just going to walk around. We're going to find a turkey. And then I told myself, no. You sit the fuck back down and you wait. Do what you said you were going to do. And I sat back down, Phil. 15 minutes later.
10 o'clock. There it is.
There it is. Came. I worked him. He started off probably 300-400 yards away. Came down to Sendero, cut it off, straight into our little setup, and then he died. Hadn't heard a gobble all day until 9:55 in the a.m. Right at my cutoff time.
Yeah.
And I shot him at 10:07. Right at my cutoff time. So that's the biggest thing that you'll find, which is this is what we found on our next hunt where I killed the second turkey, is that it's sit and get or run and gun. Have we talked about this before? We talked about this with Tony Peterson a little bit last week.
Yeah. I think we went over it a little bit, or maybe that was with Preston Pittman on Steve's podcast. I
It's
don't
all
remember,
running
but
together for you.
I've heard about it.
This is the
Different
ultimate
methods.
turkey philosophical, really, debate. Is do I sit and wait or do I run and go? Do I go and find this turkey? I call it trolling for turkeys because you can just you basically in the case of Texas, you could just walk a sendero or walk a road, walk a couple hundred yards, call, response, nothing. Walk 200 more yards, call, response, nothing. You're kind of covering. Think of it as a bullseye. You start in the middle, you kind of work out. So you're covering an area with your, with your calls. See if you get a response, or you could sit in a place where they want to be, or they're going to pass through, and you've got that extra advantage that they want to be where you already are. So in this case, the first turkey I shot.
Which method have you found more success in?
We were talking.
Because it sounds like to me, I feel like I'm the kind of impatient person with other things that I would want to be moving around and feel like I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Like I will actively take a detour.
Yes.
In a town or a highway, even if I let's say that there's a way where there's traffic.
Got it.
And you'll still probably get through it more quickly than if you went on the detour. But I'll take the detour just because it feels like I'm moving.
You're doing something.
I'm doing something. It might take me 20 more minutes to get where I'm going.
You're seeing things.
Exactly.
I you have to first. You got to think what kind of day is it? On the first turkey I shot, it was a jury day, a little windy. The birds had the day before I called in a big old Tom and his hen to about 3 yards behind me. And I worked that turkey. I called him right in behind. He came through this ridiculous mesquite brush, came right up behind me, couldn't get a shot. He would gobble his way off into the distance, and I called him back 45 minutes later. In that case, and in the case before, I knew there wasn't a lot of turkeys around. This ranch we were hunting, the ranch manager told us they had such a rough time with the big storm down in Texas, the big cold front that moved through, and they had so little water over the last couple of years that their turkey populations were way down. So I knew we were hunting a limited number of toms. And I also knew where there was one big creek where they all hung out. So if we lined ourselves up on this creek and we just sat in a place where a turkey would want to cross, if we sat there all day, that turkey was going to come through. But that is hard to do for a lot of people. It's hard to do for me. Because I know it's down in that creek. If I just bomb down in that creek, make a few calls, come out, shoot him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
But in that case, it was like there's not a lot of turkeys, so if you bump one, you're kind of screwed. Because you bump one, that's 9 turkeys you can hunt instead of 10 for that day. Because we bumped them out of the roost one day, and it pretty much turned out to be that. So that there was a factor. But I think the biggest factor is what kind of day is it? Are they gobbling? Are they aggressive? If they're aggressive, you can be aggressive. If there's not a lot of talking happening, if they're not gobbling, if they're not responding, not seeing a lot of movement, then it's time to sit and wait. And at some point, it might just be that the sun hits a certain
See, it's
meadow.
funny because the way you're explaining it, I would think it would be the opposite. Like if they were out there calling and being aggressive, then it would kind of make me want to just sit and park. But but if I wasn't hearing anything, I wasn't seeing any movement, that's when I would want to get up and try to go to them. Yeah,
and again, this is a philosophical debate that I think all turkey hunters will have for the rest of time. My buddy Jeff Johnson, who was a writer for NRA, American Hunter, when I worked there, wrote an article called "Sit and Get a Run and Gun." That was by far the best evaluation of this idea. But I don't know. I think you just gotta have to been there. But I will just say this: there's no replacing being in an area where a turkey wants to be. There's no replacing it. Whether or not you run and gun to get to that spot, or whether you determine the pattern the turkey has been traveling and get there, there's no better tactic than to be in the place they want to be.
Yeah, which I think goes back to something that Jim Heffelfinger has recently said on the Meat Eater podcast, which is that these turkeys have schedules. They have certain places they want to go throughout the day. They might not get there at the exact same time every day, but they will get there eventually. So if you know that a turkey's going to show up somewhere, if he's done it, you've seen him do it a couple of times, he'll do it again. Yeah. You might have to wait for a while, but he'll do it again.
Well, and that's the first turkey that we killed was exactly that. I had seen these turkeys about 9:45 the prior day in this little meadow, this little clearing. I'd seen them there. I watched them. I glassed them up. There was 2 hens and a gobbler, and they were just pecking around, feeding. He would strut a little bit. They would kind of, they were just doing turkey shit in this little meadow. And I knew that what they would do is fly down from the roost. We bumped them off the roost like idiots that first morning, so it changed their pattern. But I knew that they wanted to fly down off the roost, strut around in the road, be seen, and then when the heat of the midday, they'd go down in the creek in the shade, feed, find some tall grass, some cool place to be. Then they work down that creek all the way to this meadow. That's what they do. So once you know that, then you can make the call to what you want to do. You can go right to the roost tree and try to call them down. They pitch down the road, boom, shoot them in the face. Or you can tuck yourself in the creek and try to get them to come by that way. Or you can ultimately just go to the place you know where they're going to be, because that's a destination, whereas the rest of that stuff, you're trying to manipulate them and to do something that they probably wouldn't do otherwise, right? Whether it's a slight change in their pattern or to them it's a big change, you're trying to call them to you, right? So you just have to read the situation. But in the case of the first turkey I shot, it was just I was talking to a couple buddies down there. We were talking about this. I want to move. When I sit down and I'm there for an hour, I'm like, dude, I can find these turkeys. I know where they're at. I'm going to find them. I know. I can do it. I've got the confidence. I can go find these turkeys and get it done. But ultimately, if you want to be successful, I think you stay put more often. I'll probably change that opinion next week. But it depends on where you're hunting to and how much knowledge you have. If you have no knowledge of the area you're hunting, it's hard to get a read on what the turkeys are doing. You got to move. But if you have it, exactly, if the turkey's playbook is pretty easily read, you kind of have to read it and listen to what they're telling you and go where they want to be. But anyway, that second turkey that I shot, Beardzilla, he didn't have a 22-inch beard, but a man could dream. But anyway, he was roosted, and this is one of the first times I've seen this. And again, I was around the fire with a bunch of guys, drinking a little bit, talk about my 9 to 11 theory. All right. It had been buttressed by the prior turkey hunt where I shot the bird at 10:07. So I'm like, you don't even need to go out in the morning. Don't go out in the morning. Whatever, just sleep in. Like, it's 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You're going to kill a turkey. Well, the next morning we get up. We go out. We find these birds roosted. There's, like I said, probably 5 to 8 gobblers and a couple of jakes and a couple of hens all roosted together. So we sit down about 200 yards. We put our decoys out. It's pitch dark. Gobble, just a gobble fest. Boom, 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 boom everywhere. And so we threw some hen yelps. Marshall, my buddy's doing some calling. Threw some hen yelps at him, which I normally wouldn't do when they're on the roost like that. You can do tree yelps, which is kind of a softer, hey, I'm waking up yelp. But in this case, there was hens. The hens that were roosted were lighting up. They were yelping. Yep, 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 yep. So we started yelping a little bit. They're gobbling. Beardzilla decides, I believe, to fly down out of the tree in the dark to beat these other toms to the punch, get some action. Flies down out of the tree. Marshall goes, there's a turkey in the field. I'm like, dude, it's dark. Why is it in the field? I look and I see this white head. It's like 120 yards. I see this white head in the darkness. I put my binos up. I'm like, holy shit, there's a turkey in the field. It's 15, 20 minutes before daylight. And he just strutted his way, crossed the fence, and just never broke strut. Just spitting and drumming. I don't think he ever gobbled. He just kept coming. And he was so close when I first saw him, my shotgun was leaning against my hip and the barrel was in the grass. And so normally when a turkey comes, Phil, I'm going to tell you, like, get your gun up and be like mounted and ready to go. Wait for him. In this case, I wasn't ready to go at all, and I had a bunch of cover I had set to my left, which is where the turkeys were gobbling. Well, this turkey, let's say all my cover was from like 11 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Well, this turkey came at noon. He was coming right straight ahead of me. I had basically no cover between him and I, and he was coming right. The decoys were between me and him, and he kept coming, just strutting. So I was like, well, I'm basically going to have to keep this shotgun on the ground, and whenever I want to shoot him, he's either going to have to be, I'm going to have to raise my gun up when he turns around and then kill him, or he's going to probably run when I put my gun up, and I'm going to have to shoot him while he's turning to leave. He got right to the decoys, and I waited. He just would not turn. He just kept looking at the decoys, going back and forth. I was like, all right, screw it. So I threw my shotgun up. I don't even think I got it to my shoulder, and pulled the trigger, and he was already turning to run, shot him back of the head, dead. Beardzilla, gone. And it was 7:10 in the a.m. And so my theory, Phil, that the best turkey hunting happens between 9 and 11 is either complete horseshit or there are exceptions. So, cool. Is that exciting to you? Can you feel my, like, pure
I don't know if it's the yerba mate
it ain't.
Or the turkeys, but Ben is vibrating right now.
I'm it's just the lifeblood. I was telling the guys we were with that it's just everything is better when you have success in the turkey woods. I don't want to make it seem like everything is better when you kill something. It's not that. But it, like we said, hunting has a game-like quality, and when you win the game, fuck, it feels good. It feels real good. So hopefully you get that feeling, Phil.
Yeah.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best for you. But so that was 3.5 days of turkey hunting, 2 big turkeys, bunch of meat. My boy and I this morning woke up early and started cleaning all the meat up, vacuum seal it, put it in the freezer. Turkey nuggets tomorrow night, Phil. I'll bring some in for you if you'd like.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then we're going to, if anybody has any ideas, thc@themeateater.com, what we want to do for cutting these babies up and cooking them up. If you have anything you'd like to see on the Instagram, let me know, and we'll do it. But that was my Texas turkey hunt. It has begun, Phil. It has begun. So if you haven't read The 10th Legion yet, have you?
I have not.
Damn it. You have roughly a month.
I'm sure it'll be like the night before we go out.
I read the first 2 chapters. I read the first 2 chapters. All right, well.
Listen, I was a procrastinator in high school and college. I did all right. I was a stay up until 4 a.m. the morning that the papers do kind of guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, moving on. We got a lot to get to. I'm sure that was a long-winded turkey story. I just meant to mention that I had killed some turkeys. But now here we are. 20 minutes later. So sorry about that. Next thing, THC chapters. Phil, have you logged into Facebook yet?
I have, and I've done some lurking.
Have you?
I have been lurking.
The Montana chapter folks
have
been asking about you, like, where is Phil? They're looking. Every person that joins the Montana chapter, they're looking for you, Phil.
Okay, well, keep an eye out. Maybe.
Do you have a burner account?
I do, yeah.
Okay, you're not going to share what it is?
Well, I mean, once I join, everyone's going to see it anyway. That's why I've only been
Mango
lurking.
the engineer? What?
No, so I didn't go with Mango, but I chose a very generic picture of like a mountain at the end of a highway on the horizon.
This will be a game, like find Phil the engineer.
Exactly. But my name, I put it Phil, and my last name is T.E.
Phil T.E.
Phil T.E.
Let me just say this. Let's just do this. Could you create a more encoded version of a burner account that people will have to find and figure out?
Maybe. I don't know how often they let you change your name. I don't think it's very often.
Yeah.
I might have to wait like a month or something.
All right.
I don't know. I'll see if I can.
Phil is going to create a burner.
Uh-huh.
If Facebook executives are listening, a lot of them, I think Zuckerberg listens.
It'll just be like Rick Johnson, and it'll be like a camo.
It's
like
going to be
a camo pattern in my profile picture.
It's going to be something. Phil will leave breadcrumbs for you to figure out that it's him.
Yeah,
he's going to join one chapter, and if the chapter leader or somebody in the chapter figures out it's Phil, I will shower you with THC gifts. It's called Find Phil.
Find Phil.
It's a new contest we just came up with live on the air.
There's going to be some Illuminati style clues I'm going to leave in my posts and stuff. You'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, I've been watching this QAnon documentary.
It's going to be just like that.
They got the cicada thing going on.
Not just like that, but close.
All right, let's see. Michael, now, is it Knaus? Knauss. That's Knaus.
No, it's now. I think the K is definitely silent.
No.
Yeah,
Knaus. Naus?
Or Naussi. Is it 2 S's and an E?
No, it's just 2 S's.
Probably Naus.
All right, Michael Knaus. He's our leader from New Mexico. He made Phil. Did I share this to you, Phil? Check it out.
Yep. Yeah, you showed me.
Describe what you're seeing right now.
It's almost like a Patrick Bateman style business card.
Business card.
Yes, with the Hunting Collective logo.
Yeah, it says the Hunting Collective New Mexico chapter. I won't read out his phone number or email. It says New Mexico chapter leader, and then it says THC New Mexico. Facebook.com/groups/THC New Mexico. And so he wrote on our little Facebook chapter admin page, I decided to make some business cards to hand out to people I come across and start talking to. Just thought it was a rather inexpensive but still a nice way of creating a flyer, a way to get people to my group. Pretty badass. All these things make me chuckle because they're just so. Our folks in the actual cult chapters are very innovative and very excited, and are growing our little chapters in amazing ways and with great passion. I just received an email from Doug Duran this morning, lauding the Wisconsin chapter for their growth thus far. And so I'm excited to report on that. Now I'm going to find the last update that someone posted to where we are in terms of, we're over 1,000 members, Phil. Did you ever think we'd get there?
Never. But I've always underestimated you before, so
yeah,
I apologize.
Don't underestimate me, you son of a bitch. Let's see. We got, leading the way right now. California has been leading the way from the beginning. But of the last update here, it's listed as Q2 2021 in the spreadsheet. I think Patrick Ray made this from Alabama. California leading the way, 477, Phil. California leading the way. Wow, 477. Montana has shot up the leaderboard to number 2 with 173. One of those is Phil's burner account. And Colorado 139, Arizona 117, Wisconsin 135, Washington 104. Well done, everyone. Well done. A few have 0. Hawaii, Illinois, Mississippi, Nevada, Texas has 0. Sad days. Sad days for those places. But get in. We're not looking to grow this here cult, all that. We're not trying to grow it just for the sake of numbers. We want to slowly, methodically bring people in that really want to come share in this hunting thing, Phil. I'm excited. We're going to keep having some folks on the show to talk about this. Like I said, Nuri Hong in California, A.B. Rich has been blowing it up. Patrick Ray, Riley Nelson, all you guys out there that we call chapter leaders, thank you. And one thing before we got Sam Soholt coming on. Remember him?
Of course I do. Public land bus.
One of my favorites people in the world. He's got a new conservation initiative we're going to be talking about just now coming up. But before we get to that, I've got Newman Landa wrote in. He said, I just wanted to share my 10-year-old's project that he's doing for his class. They were tasked with making a presentation that demonstrates opinion writing. My son, Jack, chose to talk about hunting and conservation. Attached is the draft he just sent me. I've gotten with him to spruce it up a bit, but I wanted you to see it in its raw form. It was pretty impressive. Just wanted you to see your young fans are fighting the good fight and guarding the gate in elementary schools. Hope you enjoy now. I hope this is okay with Jack, but I'm going to try to read I'm going to read it all. Ready, Phil?
Typos and everything? I hope so.
I hope there isn't any typo. I read the first little bit of it. It's
maybe. I mean, look at me. I'm underestimating everyone. Maybe this
would you like to apologize to Jack?
I'm sorry, Jack. I would love to hear you.
Apologize to Jack. All right, hunting. Why hunting is good for wildlife. There's a picture of a mule deer and a turkey on there. It says why hunting is good for the conservation. When a hunter kills an animal, yes, he or she is taking a life, but he or she has also just helped conservation, because when an animal is shot by a hunter, there's one less animal to eat all the other grass or seeds, or even other animals. So whenever most people hear that an animal was just shot, they're probably thinking, oh no, an animal was just killed, and now that a species will probably become extinct soon. But what they should think of is an animal is just shot, and now there is more food for all the other animals. Also, when you go hunting, you have to buy a tag. The tag is so whenever you kill an animal, you put the tag on it, and there are only a few tags, so you don't overhunt an animal. Tags are also for another thing. When you buy the tags, the money that you buy the tags with goes towards the wildlife and conservation. So that is how hunting helps conservation. What do you think, Phil?
You know how you were going to buy out those billboards in San Francisco?
Yeah.
You should still do that, but then just put that on the billboard.
Just put Jack on
there. There you go.
Yep. There's more. You want to hear more?
Sure.
The history of hunting. Over 2 million years ago, cavemen started to hunt. And they didn't hunt for the fun of it. They hunted to survive. And if they didn't get anything, they wouldn't eat that day. But over the centuries, people have become smarter. They have learned how to farm and how to cook. And when the first refrigerator came out in the 1840s, people didn't need to eat right away. Around the 1600s, people made laws on when, where, how, and what animal you kill and hunt. Over the decades, people have started hunting just for the pleasure of it, but also a lot of people still hunt for fun and to get meat in the refrigerator. He brought it back to the refrigerator there at the end.
Yeah.
I like what he's doing. Also, throughout the years, poachers have been made, and often people mistake poachers for hunters, which is 100% true. I just go to the conclusion, because he does a whole thing about the difference between hunting and poaching, which is very well. But in conclusion, I think that you should have a different opinion on hunting now. I'm not saying you need to start hunting. I'm just saying you should appreciate hunters more for the things they do, like helping conservation. The end. Jack. Fantastic.
Great.
Well done.
Yep.
Well done, Jack. In all seriousness, this is about as good as I could do, if not better.
Oh, yeah.
And,
it had
definitely better than Phil.
Very cleen introduction.
Yeah.
You had those middle paragraphs with your arguments.
And conclusion.
And your conclusion, bringing it all home.
So listen, Newman, if Jack somehow doesn't get an A+ on this, you write in and you let me know. And I'll whoever this teacher is, this elementary school teacher, we'll take him to task.
We'll let the THC Facebook chapters take care of it.
We'll take care of it. Don't worry. We'll rough them up. All right. Now, from one budding conservationist to a hardened one, now we're going to listen to my buddy Sam Soholt.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there, because they're great and they're super friendly, and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth.
Sam Soholt!
What's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah. Oh, I'm doing fantastic. You look good. You've been doing like a workout, you told me.
Yeah, I have been.
Tell me about this workout. I got to get in turkey shape. Is there turkey shape? Is that a thing that sitting on by a tree, is that the thing you need to get in shape for?
I mean, I guess I haven't perused like Instagram or anything, but there's got to be somebody out there with like, I mean, there's every other fit. Like, you know, there's got to be like turkey fit, like somebody with that handle out there.
There's elk fit, right? Elk shape.
Yeah, elk fit, elk shape.
Was there elk fit and elk shape?
Probably. And then whitetail fit. And
there's that. Yep.
I guess
turkey
I haven't.
fit. Turkey fit would just be like, eating nuggets and sitting against a tree. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Go through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru and then get your nuggets and go sit by a tree and eat them. Turkey fit.
Yeah, turkey fit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, depending on where you hunt turkeys, I mean, you kind of got to be in at least pretend shape.
It's true. Hunting where you do in South Dakota and the we were just talking about the turkey tour a little bit, but South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, where I'm going to be Saturday. Are you coming to join us? Are you coming with us?
I won't make it to the hills, but I might be able to sneak in for a couple days in Nebraska.
Okay, good. You've just live on the air. You've promised that you're going to be there. You sneak it. You sneak the hell over there. We need.
I will. Yeah, I'll do my best.
Okay. But that country, man, you're up and down a good bit.
Yeah,
it depends. Phil and I just had a big conversation about run and gun or sit and get. Do you have any turkey philosophies that start or end with sitting and staying in one spot or getting up and running around like a crazy person?
I mean, I'm probably the same as most people, where you try to get as close to the roost as you can, where you're, you're in on them tight early, but then the rest of the day, I'm typically, unless I find a spot where it has like a ton of like really fresh scratching or, sign, I'm typically doing run and gun type stuff the rest of the day, trying to get something to gobble back and try to, make a play on something. Yeah. I mean, that's certainly the most fun anyway.
It is the most fun. We were just talking a lot about if you can pattern turkey, which in the West is a lot of times hard to do. You just a big chunk of public land and you find a bird, you don't have time to pattern, to sit and watch the turkey and see where it's going to go or pattern them. And you probably don't know enough about the landscape. If you're just, walking into a piece of public and trying to find a bird, you don't know enough about that landscape to understand how that turkey's going to use that terrain. Yeah,
it's different than, having a chunk of land that you've hunted for however many years and like typically they're going to roost in this area or this tree. It's a little bit different, but I I think over the years you could probably figure out a pattern, like if you have like a consistent roost like area or region or like little pocket. But man, it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the argument. I'll see what you think about this. I've come to believe in the sit and get and run and gun debate that if you know where a turkey wants to be, even if this is what we were doing in Texas, even if you know where they're going to roost, and you pull off 300-400 yards or find that meadow you know they're going to want to be in once they fly down.
Yep.
That's a more sure bet than it is trying to call them in and change their pattern.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
But like you said, a lot of times you don't have that knowledge. And if you don't have that knowledge, you got to run and gun.
Yeah.
Now we got to teach Phil all this, man, because Phil, he's got a month till his first hunt. So
is he going to be on the turkey tour?
No, he's not allowed to travel away from home. We've got him pretty much chained to the studio.
Okay.
No, we're gonna hunt the first week. We're gonna hunt the first week of May.
Phil is like a paid indentured service.
Pretty much. Yeah. We feed him. He's healthy.
That's good.
But he can't like go more than a few hours away from the office. And he'll often get called back by Ranella. You know, he has like one on the little shot cop. Get it, shock him, bring him back to the studio. But anyway, that's what we're excited for around here. Tell everybody your turkey events for this spring.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got South Dakota, North Dakota. I'm a North Dakota resident now, so first tag in North Dakota. That should be kind of fun. But yeah, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Montana, and then potentially Minnesota. So I'm not traveling, too far this year or too many crazy states or anything, but going to be able to get out and get after it. I'm definitely focused on. My wife's got a tag, try to get her a bird. My dad's got a tag, try to get him a bird. Chris Ellis, who is actually flying out, and we're going to go chase turkeys together at some point. So, be good.
Chris
spring.
Ellis, fantastic human.
Yeah.
Have fun with that guy. But you refresh my memory on last year. I certainly had a tough turkey year last year when COVID kind of crushed my dreams for turks. How'd you do last year? Do you feel like this is any redemption for you? Because for me, when I shot that first turkey in Texas, I felt amazing. I felt like I had been through something. I actually ended up having a pretty good year. I didn't go nearly as many places I had originally planned. Like you couldn't buy a tag in Nebraska. Yeah.
Kansas, you had to quarantine for 14 days. I mean, there was all these like stipulations on stuff, but I had a pretty good year. I shot 4 birds last year, helped another 3 people get birds. So it was fun. I got to be part of seven turkey hunts, successful turkey hunts last spring. Yeah. So I was lucky.
Do you think I'm ever going to get my goal of 10 in 1 year?
Have you killed 2 already, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got 2.
I mean, you're doing pretty good.
I'm feeling it. I feel like I've got a shot. How many
tags do you have in Montana?
Well, I only bought 3, but I can buy 2 more.
Right.
I've got 1 in South Dakota, 1 in Wyoming, and 2 in Nebraska, but I can get a 3rd.
Yep.
And so conceivably, I don't have to leave the West and I could get my 10.
Yeah.
But I've been, I don't know. I've got some backups.
If it gets to like the end of May, are you going to like travel to those states where like, I think Michigan has typically a couple days in June.
Wisconsin is my spot.
Yeah.
I haven't told Doug during this. We have talked about it, but I haven't told Doug it. But I'm going to go to his farm.
Have you looked to see if there's any leftover tags?
There is. In Wisconsin, I think you can. I don't know how many birds you can shoot in Wisconsin, but it's not a small number.
Well, so it's typically you can shoot as many as you want as long as you have the tags. But I know that there are way fewer leftover tags this year. There were like 16,000 more people that put in for turkey tags in Wisconsin this spring.
Of a bitch.
So
all right, well, I may be screwed. My backups may be, but I mean, I know I can get a tag in Idaho, Oregon. I know I can get a tag unless it's a similar situation. So I think I could in the West. If I was like 1 short, I would just get real inventive with what I could do in the West. But I can conceivably get real close, and then I just need a little extra levers to pull to get to that 10 number.
Well, maybe I can call it. If I am able to get out to Nebraska with you, maybe I can call one in for you again.
Dude, this is exactly the equation that I want. I'm happy to call in birds for other people and call in my own birds, but I'm also happy to have somebody to do all the calling, dude. I'm not. Yep. There's no ego in it for me. I love when you call that bird in for me, and I spooked it. We spooked it and then called it back in again.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and then killed it. I did that in Texas last week. Had a bird come into 3 yards, gobbling his head off, spitting and drumming like right behind my head, basically. Mm-hmm. He gobbles his way off. It I think he knew something was up, not quite understanding. Called him back into 60 yards 2 or 3 more times, I think.
Yep.
And never got a shot. But those are the fun times when you know there's a bird that's that fired up that you can pretty much put them on a string and just kind of pull them back in whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things, and I learned this from hunting with like Aaron Warburton and whatever. But like, you call a bird in, they don't quite come into range, and you just let them wander off, and then you go to where they came and gobbled and call, and then they just come ripping right back in because they're like, oh, I did call up a hen, you know.
Yeah, that's a good hot tip. That's a really good hot tip. I've done that before, not even thinking about it in that way, but just kind of like getting closer, cut the distance. But that's a really good point.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
Yeah, I've used that tactic several times now, and it's amazing. Like what we did it on your bird in South Dakota a couple years back, where called him up, and then he came up and kind of gobbled on this little ridge, and then went off, and then we went to where he was and did this, and then he came right back up. So
came right back up, yeah. And again, if you're able to, if he sees something he doesn't like, you're able to know, okay, this turkey, he's committed, but he's also not. I mean, he's not brainless.
Right.
Some of this turkey I killed in Texas a couple of days ago, he was fairly brainless. Yeah, he just flew down off the roost. He flew down off the roost when it was dark and came in to beat his other buddies to the punch, I feel. And so there was kind of anything, you could have done just about anything to him, and I think he probably would have came back in. Certainly didn't give him that chance, but it's again just reading that turkey. But that's a good hot tip, man. Aaron Warburton of the Hunting Public. That's if anybody got anything from listening to 2 hours of me talk this week, is Sam Soholt's hot tip via Aaron. That's another one. Do you hunting in South Dakota and hunting other places? Do you find that your strategies are different from state to state, from terrain to terrain? And have you kind of codified that in your mind where like, I'm going to go here and do this? I'm hunting Iowa, cornfields, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set up a pop-up blind, or I'm hunting South Dakota and I'm just going to walk around.
I probably haven't like broke it down into state by state, but I'm guessing, there's definitely tendencies, like depending on where I'm going. If I'm hunting stuff where there's like going to be ag, where I know like turkeys are probably going to at least head to and scratch and eat and whatever, like, you probably use that to my advantage if I know I can cut them off. Like if there's like they roost in that little cottonwood stand there, but I know that they're going to be working their way to this ag field because it's the only ag in, the whole area. Like I'll bring that into, but I mean, most of the places I hunt are so wide open, like that I'm either like trying to sneak into where I think they're going to fly down to. And then if that doesn't happen, then I'm looping way around trying to cut them off on the way to something. So, I mean, unfortunately, I'd like to do more of it. I haven't done a ton of big woods hunting. Did a little bit back in spring of 2019, and I had a blast with it. Like I had more fun doing that, like, sneaking around in big oak ridges and stuff. And
mature timber.
Right.
Yeah. I was talking to the guys at FHF, the bino harnesses and chest rigs, and I was asking them, how much, let's make a product for turkeys, which they are making some inserts for their chest rig. I don't know if I'm breaking news on that, but that's what they're doing. Sorry guys, if I'm breaking the PR release on that one. We were talking about using bino harnesses for turkey hunting, and they were saying, listen, a lot of guys just don't use binos for turkeys. And I thought, that's weird because, man, I use them as much as any other pursuit. I guess I'm thinking I'm not sitting in glassing all the time, but I'm using them all the time in the turkey woods.
Yeah.
Have you? And I guess then I started thinking, well, maybe if you're hunting in big timber in the east or in the south, and you're in a situation where you just literally can't see that far, and you're calling turkeys through this thick timber where you really don't have a chance to get a look. I guess I could see it then, but you're carrying binos every turkey hunt, aren't you?
Oh yeah, every time. There was one hunt 3 years ago that I didn't have binos, and the entire time I was like, I just wish I had my binoculars.
Feel naked.
Yeah,
you feel naked.
Yeah. So no, I use them all the time turkey hunt. But again, like you said, like I hunt pretty wide open stuff. So like anytime I see a black spot out in the field or whatever, I'm like constantly, like if I'm ripping around, like trying to scout, I'm definitely using them all the time. But even when I'm hunting, I'm using them a lot. Early in the season, because it's not so thick, like I can glass up birds on the roost and sneak into them. So yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. Glassing up birds. I mean, you're going to capture more light in a pair of 10 by 42s than, but to see one, you might be able to see with the naked eye that there's birds roosts. So you want to see, is it a tom? Is it a jake? Is it a hen?
Yep.
You need that definition. You need to have those. So if there's folks out there that aren't carrying binos, shame on you. What's wrong with you?
You should be.
Weirdos. You should be. I wanted to do this with you. I want to try to do this with everybody here in the future, but how many turkey states do you feel like you've filled a tag? How many states do you feel like you've I was trying to count the other day, and I got to about 13 or 14.
Oh, I'm not even close to that. Yeah. Let's see. I'm like 7 or 8, maybe.
7 or 8?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel like that's way more than most folks.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Most folks are probably at 1 or 2 or 3.
Yep.
But they're definitely diehard turkey hunters. This is starting to become a thing that are trying to do the 49 state, turkey slam. I don't know if that's even a slam. It's way more than a slam. But that's way more exciting to me than the Grand Slam or the World Slam.
Yeah, because it's called the U.S. Slam, right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, so the U.S. Slam. I think we should start thinking about that. We should make a pact right now that we're going to do it.
That we should. Oh, yeah. I mean, that'd be great.
That'd be great. Pact. We made that was a non-committal pact. That's fine.
I mean, yeah. Count me in. I guess.
we might have to tell our wives first.
Yeah, our 49 states
business venture.
And I've been, a few of those states I've hunted in where they're like right now the populations are super low, like Arkansas. I mean, that's just tough hunting.
Yeah, the land of Clay Newcomb. Clay Newcomb killed one over the weekend. It's probably one less over there.
Yeah,
it's one less over there.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's it's becoming a thing. But do you have? Let's try to name our top 5. You could be the top 5 states that you want to hunt in that you haven't, or top 5 states you've hunted in. Either one, like in your mind, can you rank? Let's start at 5 and go to 1, low to high. I can start at that.
Okay,
if you need some time to think about it. Because I was thinking about this over the weekend. I'm going to go number 5, Florida.
Okay.
Florida is. Have you ever hunted Florida?
No.
Number 1, a lot of people hunt there. 1, because the seasons are earlier, right? So you can hunt in early March, mid-March. And 2, you can get yourself an Osceola, which is a subspecies that really you don't have much. You don't have a chance to get anywhere else in the U.S.
Right.
that I can think of or know of. So those are the generally 2 reasons. But again, man, Florida is just a kick-ass place to be, especially in March when the weather, the spring is sprung, and Osceolas, in at least in my opinion, are a little bit more cagey, a little bit tougher than some of the other subspecies. Definitely tougher than a Merriam. So I'm gonna put number 5 is gonna be Florida. Number 4, Oklahoma. You ever hunt in Oklahoma?
Nope.
I love that place. Oklahoma is becoming one of the top turkey states, one of the most hunted turkey states in the country here recently. It's kind of a trendy spot to hunt if you're a turkey guy. They're everywhere, and it's not really as much of the culture as it is in places like Florida or places like Texas, but it's an up and comer. So Oklahoma. Number 3 is South Dakota. It's got to be it's going to be on your list for sure.
Definitely.
The Black Hills are an amazing place to hunt turkeys.
Yep.
Not only the terrain, but the conservation story, just everything about particularly the Black Hills. But I've also hunted them in the central portion of the state, in the plains, places like the Rosebud Reservation. And so I've always had good luck in South Dakota. So that's going to be on my list. I might surprise some people with number 2, but I had a kick-ass hunt in Oregon. I feel like especially Eastern Oregon is a wonderful place to hunt turkeys. Again, you can do it a little bit later in the year, so if you're trying to schedule out your turkey year. And then number 1 is Texas. Texas is...
Yep.
I understand our public land friends, public land tees might not agree with my Texas is number 1.
Oh.
But the argument I'll make for Texas is that not a lot of Texans give 2 shits about a turkey. They'll say, does it have antlers? And you say no. They'll be like, we don't care.
Yep.
And so you can get a lot of access to a lot of big tracts of ground, or a lot of tracts in suburban areas that are smaller but hold a lot of birds. And there's over 500,000 turkeys in the state of Texas.
That's just a lot. That's a lot of turkeys.
That's a lot of turkeys, man. So there's a lot of turkeys, a lot of nice people. Probably biased because I just came back from there. But if you can find a way to get access to private ground there, which I think is abundant, in my opinion at least, then Texas becomes the top state because you can start in the southern region, hunt early, and then, I was there this last weekend and it was opening day for the northern part of the state. And so, and you can go buy an over-the-counter license and you can get 4 tags.
Yeah.
And that, again, just, it's plentiful. It's a good place to be. So that's my list. Hopefully that helped you, Sam. I know I'm hitting you with this.
No, that's perfect. I'm going to go the other way.
All. Okay. Knock it dead.
So my favorite place that I've ever hunted turkeys was Tennessee. And it was kind of a combo of things, like just hunting, big timber, hardwood stuff. But like the way it played out had like 2 days in a row mishaps, like screwed up on a bird. And then I had a bird at like 15 yards and had a bad shell and like, kind of like farted like a little shotgun shell, like just like it was just like just kind of like lofted it out there, and that one, and then killed them.
I'm gonna start pranking people with that. If I could get how that shell was created,
figure out how to find a bad primer.
Just like some grass and a wad.
And then the next day, finally killed a bird, but had to switch. I'm left-handed, had to switch to shoot right-handed, and like he was about to disappear over the rise, and like just like domed him off the top. So that this Tennessee was super fun.
Yeah. So that 5 or 1?
That's
5.
That's 1.
I'm
gonna go the other way.
You're dropping it down. Okay, it's fine. And that's surprising. Surprising.
I know. Yeah. Number 2, South Dakota. Grew up in South Dakota. Like have a blast hunting on the Black Hills and stuff. Number 3, trying to think, like Nebraska. I think just because of the abundance and lots of turkeys, callable turkeys in certain areas. I had one hunt there a while back. Like buddy and I killed a bird. He killed the bird, but it was like 9 degrees and we had 6 inches of fresh snow. So like watching a bird strut in, like in the middle of a snowstorm, that was pretty cool. Let's see, that's 3. Kansas is super fun.
Yeah.
And then Minnesota is a cool state to hunt birds in.
Yeah, the state of Donnie Vincent. He was up there shooting turkeys last year when I talked to him.
Yep.
They're just smashing birds. Tony Peterson up there.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked to him last week. That's a sleeper, I feel like.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people talk about it, but there's certain parts of the state that have lots of birds.
Yeah. I think I feel like the categories for me, the things I'm looking for is abundance of turkeys, obviously. And again, I think abundance of access is always there, but a good structure for access. Mm-hmm. And my Texas thing is a bit goes against that a little bit, but like I said, I just know that there's a lot of landowners down there that would let you hunt turkey.
They don't care.
They don't care. They're like, man, there's no antlers on that turkey. They're in the backyard. Then you hunt them.
Yep.
And then I think 3 is how many tags you can get. How much bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And that's limited in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's a few states where you have to draw for certain areas or for the entire state. And so it's really, I just went in and bought a general Wyoming tag, a Black Hills, South Dakota tag, got all my Montana tags as a resident, and then got 2 tags on the Piney Ridges of Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that stuff happened just over the counter, just sat down one night, boom, 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 got them done. And so that turkeys, I think one of the reasons that turkey hunting is so powerful to me because it is so accessible.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, you could plan a turkey tour in the Western United States 3 weeks before you left.
Yeah.
And you would have plenty.
Do you think that's going to shift a little bit in the years to come simply because of some of the regions in the states that have diminishing turkey populations and just, the popularity of turkey hunting has gone up, especially the popularity of traveling to turkey hunt.
Yes.
And
and I think it's that. Yes, that accessibility is always an issue, right? Look at Colorado elk. I mean, if you start to look at how Colorado elk has ebbed and flowed over the years, you would open it up to everybody, and then you inevitably have to start closing off portions of it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to start taking those over-the-counter tags off, putting them in a lottery or putting them in a point system, in a draw system. So I would say you're probably right about that. I think it'll take some time, I would guess, to matriculate into that.
Well, because I know
scenario.
even states like Kansas for a while, there, it was a 2-state or a 2-bird state, and then they went to a 1-bird state just because of populations. And
I think it will become. This is something that, as turkey hunters and people that care about it, and this goes back to our recent conversation around Matt Ranello's article about R3.
Yep.
Anti R3 is like, how do we handle? we can talk about that a little bit too.
Yeah.
How do we handle this? Because even this podcast where I'm mentioning I bought tags in this state, I bought tags in that state. This is where I love to hunt. These are my top states. I am actively understanding that by saying where I love to hunt, other people will probably be there.
Yep.
And when the Black Hills are a pretty big place, but not that big.
Not that big. Yeah.
And so I know you probably run into this. All of us that have like voices in our industry have to think about it. It's a catch-22 if there ever was one, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to, I try to generalize like regions that I hunt a lot. And a lot of people ask what state I shot something in or whatever. And it's kind of a dick move, I'll be honest, but I typically respond with the state of happiness. Because, I think, in my personal opinion, I think everybody's going to have a higher quality hunt if they do a lot more of the footwork themselves, figuring out locations, figuring out states, figuring out regions, whatever it may be. Like, I think you get a lot more satisfaction out of a hunt if you're not like, oh, he hunted here, I'm going to go hunt here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just my personal opinion though.
It's tough, man. But I just, was just in Texas, met a lovely couple, Greg and Casey. They let me hunt their property. They were awesome. I'd love to hunt with them as much as humanly possible. Greg is a hardcore turkey hunter, and shout out to him. He had your Public Land Tees sticker on his Yeti, and he was wearing the Gobbler shirt that you guys made.
That is awesome.
I showed up in camp, dude. He was rocking Public Land Tees hardcore.
That's great.
But I liked him immediately when I saw that. He's like, I'm obsessed with turkeys. And I think I got along with him. I don't know. He might not like me, but I enjoyed the shit out of him. He was doing pretty much the exact same turkey tour that I'm doing a couple weeks later, right? Yep. And so it just becomes like a part of the culture for people to travel and hit these states up, and it is accessible. And so, yeah, man, at some point, the more hunters that are on a place, the more it has the opportunity to become a biological desert and have pressure, and even make the hunting experience for those that are residents or traveling non-residents all the more negative, or all more unsuccessful, at least the chances for that. So I think it's the ultimate debate. It's the ultimate catch-22. It's funny for us to be in this position. It makes me laugh because when I first got in the industry, it was like, hunting numbers are falling. What are we going to do? It's awful. Oh my gosh. And now we've shifted somehow into, should we let more people in? Should we recruit new people that aren't already a part of our networks? I had a buddy that made a good analogy. Like, the recruiting should never stop.
Yeah. Like, think of a championship team, whatever sport. You recruited those players to come play there. And you're not going to stop recruiting just because you won once. Like, it's a constant thing. Like, you need this constant flow of people. And like, you're going to have some that fizzle out and some that, come back in. But like, we can't just be like, oh, well, we're good. And then wait for the next crash of hunters to be
Thanks,
like,
COVID. Yeah. Yeah. Our system of conservation depends on a rising tide. It depends on a rising tide in more ways than I can count.
Yep.
Often there needs to be hunter recruitment. I think it should be R3 plus A. And the A is approval. We need people to approve of hunting as a thing that's good for society.
Yep.
And that's likely more important than the actual recruitment itself. But the recruitment isn't a zero-sum game. If you recruit a new hunter who's in a family of non-hunters, and that person becomes a hardcore outdoorsman, and they love it, and they talk about it, and that's all they post about, and that's all that they do, chances are someone in their orbit is going to be drawn into that energy. And so that's how it works. It's not just that we're starting there's new cracks in the surface that people can enter through. There's new gates that are opened by that.
Yeah.
And I have so much passion about hunting, and I built my life around it, that I'm unwilling to turn that off. I'm unwilling to turn that off.
I agree.
I will keep that going forever. And I'm, our buddy Greg, I mentioned that's a big fan of public land teas. I told him, I said, I'm going to be up in those 4 states doing a turkey tour. I'll drop you some waypoints where I know birds are. You're coming up there too. I want to share that stuff with you. He shared his land in Texas. And so, hunters are generally not apt to do that, but I think you can on a relational level, right? I mean,
yeah. I think at some point, like, it's just important to be helping others out too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It really is. But again, it's a conversation that we have to have, especially around R3. Like, the more that we have success with it, the more it's going to become problematic.
Yeah.
And turkey hunting is a good example.
Yeah.
Of that.
And I honestly, I do believe that COVID had, like, we're not going to know the repercussions that it had, like, on this space for a while. But like, I mean, just how it felt out hunting the last year, like, there were, you take professional sports basically canceled, college sports basically canceled, most high school sports basically canceled. So you have all of these people who, either used to or did limited amounts of hunting on the weekends, and now they're working remote. Like, I mean, there's all these factors that go into it. And all of a sudden you have all of these people with all of this time that love to hunt, but may only get out 5 to 10 days a year total. And they have all this time, they can go out. So, like, you definitely felt the added pressure, and then just looking at Wisconsin, like, selling that many more turkey tags and all this different stuff. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it shifts back. So, like, we've done all this R3 stuff over the last decade or however long, like, when it really started pushing, and we have COVID hit, and then you see this massive spike in, people in your spots and people at the trailhead and all this, it's all these crazy things. Like, is that going to maintain, or, like, how long is that going to take to shift back, as more states start to open up 100%, people go back to work and sports come back, and, all of these other obligations that people have with family and all these things. It'll be, I'm just curious to see how it all plays out. Right now, I would imagine that the coffer for all of the Pittman Robertson funds and all of the state agencies have seen a massive increase in their budget.
I hope the hell so.
Yeah.
We sold millions and millions of new guns, and ammo is at a shortage.
Hundreds of millions of new rounds of ammunition.
Yeah. So I hope that money, it gets into that Pittman Robertson fund. And I've done a lot of studying on this, and it gets divvied out at some percentage based on number of hunters in a state, number of licenses sold in a state. There's a very complicated equation that I can't pull out of my jet lag brain right now, but there is an incentive to have more hunters to get the percentage of Pittman Robertson dollars state by state. And that definitely happens.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there, because they're great and they're super friendly, and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth.
To your point, I think the way I think about this is what I think we've done, what COVID has helped do, and what I think of the youth movement specifically that you've led and our company here, Meat Eater, has been a part of, is, and specifically I say that because I know the age demographic that listens to this show, and I know it's young. And so I think what we've done is raise the floor. I'm not too worried about how high the ceiling is, because I think the ceiling, as you mentioned there, is higher than it maybe should be right now just because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the important part is how many of these new hunters or new license holders from this last year can we keep, right?
Right.
That's the floor. The floor is how many of them do we keep year over year over year over year. That becomes our floor. So I think our floor has been raised to a level we're not real sure of right now. State by state we can look.
Mm-hmm.
But we've raised the floor, and I'm not too concerned about the ceiling, because I think that is the fluctuation, right?
Yep.
You may get a flood of new hunters for whatever reason, and it's about that retained part of that group. But I do think over the last couple of years we have raised that floor to a I don't know whether it's millions, but I was just reading an article the other day. I'll pull it up here so I get the numbers right, from Pew Trusts about this exact thing. It's how do we retain these hunters? Michigan saw a 67% hike in new hunting license buyers this year this is obviously 2020, compared to 2019, a 15% increase in female hunters, and a moderate growth in many younger age brackets. The state also sold 46% more apprentice licenses, a discounted option that allows new hunters to give the sport a try under the supervision of a mentor. And then this is from Dustin Eisenhoff, who is the marketing specialist for the DNR. He said, "We have over 100,000 new hunting customers this year. That's a big opportunity for us to work with to keep those folks involved." This says Nevada saw a 30% jump in hunting licenses. Maine sold a record number of deer permits, 9% rise on hunting in that state. On and on and on we go.
Yeah,
we could list off those numbers forever, but there's obviously an opportunity there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's an opportunity for us to have an interesting turkey season where we come back from our tour and be like, boy, that was intense. There were a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that over the last couple of months. Like, what's the reaction going to be if we get out to the Black Hills and there's a hunter on every ridge? You know,
yeah.
It's not a positive reaction. I mean, I've definitely tried. I don't know how you think about it. I'd be interested to hear that. But I started thinking about it like turkeys, elk, deer. There's as much chance of hunters on the landscape is those animals. Like every time I see a hunter and I see a deer, I try in my best version of myself to think about those things in the exact same way. Both of them are supposed to be there.
Yep.
Right. Both of them are going to be there.
Yep.
And it's helped the way that I think a natural reaction of every hunter, if somebody's in your spot or a spot that you've worked hard to kind of cultivate, there is a negative reaction there.
No, it's like last spring, I saw more people out hunting in spots that I've ever seen before. And at first it was, frustrating, like, because like you said, like, you learn these areas and whatever. And like, you hate to be hunting stuff that's super pressured, but at the same time, like, I try to just keep it in my mind that all those people are out there doing exactly what I love to do, and like, more power to them. Now, I think, I mean, we could talk about all this, all the R3 stuff and like all that, but I think, and this might be, I have no science to back this up. I don't know what hunter numbers are like as a whole, like if they're increasing, decreasing, maintaining. But I think what is happening, and this has shifted a lot over the last 10 years, is because of social media, because of people like you and me talking about the importance of public lands and hunting on public land, and like just hunting in general, and talking about our travels and, you know, the hunting public and whatever. I think the people that are hunting harder and hunting more species and hunting more locations than ever before. You know, think about, you know, like every time, if I talk to my dad about growing up hunting, okay, he grew up in Wisconsin. He hunted Wisconsin, and he would deer hunt for a week, and he would duck hunt for a few weekends, and he would you know, whatever. Like he'd do those things within the state, close to home. He wasn't planning 50 days a year on the road, you know, and hunting 10 different states and buying tags all over the place and putting in for all these hunts. And so where it used to be like you'd hunt small game and big game and upland, whatever, like kind of locally, now it's shifted where you might have fewer hunters, but they're all hunting more species more of the time in more places.
Yeah. I think social media certainly has added to that quite a lot. I mean, media across the board, whether it's podcasts or social media, but I think probably social media being the big change and the big driver in like the kind of media people are consuming on a daily basis. I mean, you know, what's more aspirational, right?
Right.
Like, and we went through this with our company. We bought a 64-acre farm in Michigan and quickly figured out, like, that's great and all, but boy, it's hard to tell a story about that in a consistent fashion. Mark Kenny did a great job with that, but again, it's just a different deal. Mm-hmm. And so when people become content creators in the professional sense, you almost have to strike out, you know. No offense to any.
It's because you're chasing new experiences all the time.
Exactly.
You know, that's all it comes down to.
Exactly. No offense to like Lee and Tiffany Lakoski. They're awesome people, but they started off as whitetail hunters, and their show now, if you watch, is very, you know, Western big game heavy across the board. Yep. And I think that's just a reaction to like, boy, we got to show a lot. We want to do different things, and we got to show a lot of different things because we got a lot of programs put together, a lot of content we want to create. Yep. So I think it has, I guess, the aspirational set of hunters, the people that are in the position to talk about it and show it, have kind of shifted that, I think, a lot. Yep. And that's no different than Jim Shockey, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's not like it's totally new. But I think it's kind of proliferated, to your point, in the last, who knows how many years, 5 to 7 years for sure.
Yep. And I'm assuming some of that comes from the age demographic that has grown up with like this, you know, more available media. Like you finally have enough money to go do these things, and you're like, oh, I've been watching this for the last 5 or 10 years, like people hunting all over the place. Now I finally can afford it.
I think it's an interesting that way. I run into people all the time that are, you know, I ran into a couple last year and 2 years ago in Bozeman that are just randomly booked a fire tower to stay in for a week. And they were going to elk hunt for the first time, and they heard about it on a podcast. Well, you know, I don't think it was this one. It was some other podcast, and they decided, well, we're just going to go and do that. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, that's aggressive.
Yeah.
I was like, how long have you guys had a bow for? How long have you guys been in the archery game? About 6 months.
Yeah.
It's like, whew, you're going to find out. I never ran back into him, but that's a tough one. And the fire tower they were going to was not a really great spot. Yeah. But there again, they're doing it, man. Mm-hmm. You know, they're out there doing it. They're inspired to do it, and they're going to learn that way. Yep. And that I can get with. But it is, man. It's an entangled. We're in this kind of entangled, sometimes real mucky situation where we're. This most recent conversation about R3 is put right in the crosshairs, which is, what do we do if hunting all of a sudden becomes the most popular thing on the street over the next 5 years? Yep. What do we do? But you know, that's not something that our model of conservation is really built to address.
No. I mean, at that point, I think there would be a lot of restrictions, and then it ends up all coming down to, like, if it explodes in that way, it would come down to, you know, really needing millions more acres of habitat put back into like wildlife habitat. Yeah. I mean, that's all there is to it. Taken out of production and put back into, you know, managed habitat.
Yeah, because going back to that catch-22, the more hunters, the more funding conservation gets, right? Just on a flat level. And then as a point I saw you make, and you did a takeover for NWTF, the point you were making there was like, the more conservation group members there are, the bigger their clout is politically and socially, right? The more attention comes to the issues around turkeys or elk, if it's RMEF or whatever it might be. And that's a great point. But I think also you have the catch-22 of the more hunters, the more dollars we get, right? License sales, Pittman Robertson, the American system of conservation funding is very much built to benefit from more hunters, right? So there's one side. But on the ecosystem level, from a wildlife management level, more hunters doesn't mean success. More hunters particularly means more pressure on landscapes, more pressure on wildlife populations, a dynamic that we're probably not ready for. And most wildlife managers
because the habitat can't keep up with the funding. Yes, because it takes so much longer to raise habitat than it does raise money. So
exactly, yeah, the habitat is not something you can replace, and the wildlife populations, again, while cyclical because of many factors, predator prey, winter kill, things just happen in any ecosystem. That's a natural ebb and flow, but you have this third and very impactful thing is hunter pressure. And I imagine if you would think about it this way, if you own a piece of property, they have this idea called block management. But let's just remove that for a second. If you own a piece of property and you loved animals, you love watching them, hunting them, you love being around them, and you wanted your property to be a wildlife haven and to be a healthy ecosystem, and you cared kind of on an ecosystem level of every little piece of it. Is there water? Is there cover? Trophic cascade? Is there a proper predator-prey balance? And somebody came to you and said, hey, the government will give you a subsidy if you allow hunter access. And the government also then says, people will sign, you can set some rules and people will sign a log, but you can't sit at the gate and approve each one and shake their hand and talk to them, right?
Right.
Would you do it if you only were talking about, if you didn't care about the money or the subsidies or the tax break you might get for that? Would you do it if you just cared about the wildlife? And I think the answer often is it'd be sketchy.
Right. It'd be tough. I mean, that would be a very hard decision to make.
Yeah, because opening that gate is the ultimate slippery slope argument. Yeah. Once you open that gate and people start coming through and the flow of people start coming through, you're kind of no longer in control of the balance and of the ecosystem.
Yep. Especially if you've done all of the work to help those populations flourish, just to open that up to, stuff out of your control. Like it would be a very hard decision to make.
Yeah. And so there's the catch-22. And I think that in essence is what the kind of conversations we need to keep having, because there is no easy answer, right?
Yeah.
There's no easy answer to it. And it's not that, as has been stated in several articles in rebuttal to Matt Ranella's article, you're an asshole if you don't do this, or you're an asshole if you do this, or it's not that, man. People have to make their, people have different sets of perspectives and value systems, and they make their decisions based on that. And we have to have an overall welcoming vibe in our community, but we also have to, when we let people in, go like, listen, you're coming into this complex, messy situation that has lots of factors, not only on the state and national level, but on individual ecosystem levels. And so even when you step into a place where you've never hunted as like a transient hunter that's just looking for adventure, you have to understand, you're buying your tag, you're doing your part, but you need to understand kind of the situation you're walking into the best you can.
Right. Yep.
That information isn't always available to you at the time.
Yeah.
So you feel like that covers off on that situation. I mean, it's been something that's been going through my head almost every night when I go to sleep, because it's one of those deals where I understand all sides.
Yeah.
When it comes to how do we bring in new hunters, how many of them, and what's the impact?
Yeah. And I had a big conversation a couple of years back with Randy Newberg, who's been, talking about public lands and hunter recruitment and stuff for a long, long time. And I wish I knew the numbers exactly right off the top of my head, but he was talking about R3 and how we don't really have a recruitment problem all that bad. Because if you look at the numbers of people just coming out of hunter safety every year, it's something like 600,000 new hunter safety members, with a hunter safety card every single year. And that's a lot of individuals. And if the problem is really the retention. So, those younger people or whoever's doing it, like especially the younger crowd, if they get hunter safety, they might hunt for a year or two, but a lot of times as other obligations happen, they kind of phase out. So it's hard to know which segment of R3 to really put the marketing dollars towards and put the funding towards to yeah, like which part of that do you do? Like, is it really, do we really need to be focused on the recruitment, or do we just need to talk about making sure that everybody who's currently doing it is re-upping their licenses every year and like keeping those people to keep the funding? So I don't know what the answer is, but we could talk for hours and hours and hours.
You'd have to break it down, man. I think one thing that's important to break down here, though, and I think a lot of people might, if you stop and think, this will be maybe applied to you, is what happens is if you bring in a young hunter, right? Like me, or probably you, there's a very small subset of hunters. Once you become 18, you kind of go out of your parents' home and you go out into the real world. Let's say you go to college. You're in a new place. Don't have a lot of money now. You don't have your parents to take you and pay for the ammo and pay for the guns and pay for all the things that it takes, the tags, the licenses. You have college, you have classes, you have new friends, you have parties, you have whatever things that you do socially. Your life changes. This happened to me. Your life changes in a way that doesn't support hunting in almost any facet, right? It doesn't. Financially, you're not supported. Socially, you're probably not supported because you're being transported into some new place without your friends around, without your social structure around. And so I think one of the things that I love the most, I know NWTF does this and BHA does this, is college chapters, specifically at universities and state colleges around the country. Because I know for a fact that we're probably going to retain emergent hunters that start hunting when they're adults at a way higher rate than people that start hunting when they're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. It just is what it is. That happened to me. I don't know if it happened to you, but it definitely happened to me. Because your focus shifts and your support shifts at that time in your life. Yeah.
I mean, it didn't happen that way for me. If anything, I hunted harder when I got to college.
Well, that's like, I know a lot of people, no offense to like people like me, but I know a lot of people that got to college and went harder because they were free. And the school thing didn't go as well for them. But they're definitely, I mean, I said in Bozeman, we have hunting, fishing university right down the street. Like it's, that's what it is. So,
but I was also fortunate to go to college somewhere where hunting access was readily available. So that's a different,
Yeah. A lot of the major colleges are in major cities or major urban areas. So again, I don't have numbers on this, but I just, that is one of the vulnerable points in a hunter's
definitely
life.
Yep.
So it'd be nice to understand, like, what are the vulnerable points in retainment? One of them, I think, is people having kids, young children, like I have, and I think one of the vulnerable points in retention is, I say retainment. That's not even a word, I don't think. In retention, I've been saying that, I feel like, for this whole podcast.
Yeah.
Retention is exactly that. Like, what are the weak points in somebody's life? Not weak. But what are the points in somebody's life where things shift? And you can find ways to keep people involved in the hunting community locally, to support them during those times. And because again, what you lose your hunting social structure, and you may never go again. So I feel like we've covered off on that. We could talk about that forever. But we need to talk about your new conservation initiative, and I'm going to heap praise upon you. You ready for it?
Yes.
You're going to feel...
I appreciate it ahead of time.
You might blush. Thanks for appreciating it ahead of time. You don't know what it's going to be. I just feel, man, I'll say it this way. Our generation, me and you, and we've said this probably on this show before, I think it's fun. It's been fun for me to track along with you and others in kind of a generational way. Like friends in the hunting space that are able to track along in our lives and see how things change over time, right? We're part of, I feel like, a brotherhood and like a bond of people that are just, we're seeing it in real time. But one of the things I think is important for that is people are being innovative and not giving a shit about the way it's done now or the way it has been done. And I think what you're doing with Public Land Tees with your brother Josh is one of those things. And maybe kind of a stark example of relentless innovation in a way that, like, not only innovation, t-shirts are not an innovation. I don't think I'm breaking any news there for you, but the way in which you guys are moving through the conservation space and coming up with ideas that are not only pushing, people that buy your t-shirts, but also the conservation organizations themselves to appreciate and pursue their own innovation around all the things we were just talking about, how we get people in, how we get more members. So kudos to you for that. And I think I don't think you're going to stop innovating, but but this particular thing you're doing right now, I think is a great example of the innovation that you've had since you started building a bus some years back, or maybe in your head prior to that. So there's my compliment. Now you're going to tell people why I'm complimenting you.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I think, it's been fun for Josh and I to like kind of, as we grow the company, and as we're able to sell more merchandise, the more money we raise for conservation. But it's been fun to try to come up with different ideas and do some things that aren't done in those spaces, and try to, he owned a business, we own this business together. We were both business majors in college. So it's been kind of fun to like bring a different approach, the business side approach to conservation, to figure out other ways to raise money other than banquets and other fundraisers and stuff like that. So, but yeah, this new initiative is called Conservation Crossing. And it is a collaboration between us at Public Land Tees and 5 conservation organizations, where if you buy a single Conservation Crossing t-shirt, you become a member of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, Delta Waterfowl, the Mule Deer Foundation, National Wild Turkey Federation, and Pheasants Forever, all for $125. So typically a membership for each of those organizations is about $35. So that's $175, and then t-shirts $25. So it's about a $200 value for $125. And you buy the shirt, we take care of the rest. So we ship you the shirt and the matching decal for the Conservation Crossing side of things. And then we get all of your information to the conservation groups. And then they will send you your member packets, your membership card, your decals, and all the magazines and everything else that goes along with being a member of any of those groups.
One of the other things I'll say is I have all kinds of crazy ideas. And it's one thing to have an idea. It's the other thing to make it come to fruition like you guys have here. And again, to make it easier for somebody to understand the value of joining multiple organizations, I'd have to sit back and list like I get a lot of magazines that come in the mail, and my wife piles them up on my desk. And that's kind of how I track the organizations I have membership in. And again, like, everybody getting to the point where you appreciate it enough that you want to become a life member, because I think that's the thing that folks should be pushing towards.
Yeah.
But you got to get in the door first, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And it's whether it's through something like this or just in general. But again, there isn't another way that I know of to join multiple organizations like this.
Not that I don't think there is one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you should do it. I don't know why you got to get the rest of the organizations involved. If you need me to kick them in the ass and get them in on this, I can.
Yeah, this was just round 1. So I think Conservation Crossing will continue to evolve and grow, and we'll figure out which organizations we can add and how to do that and how to scale it. Like how do we make that a thing? So I think it's just the beginning for this whole project. But yeah, I just launched it a week ago. And it's been going great so far. I've raised a ton of money for all of the organizations, and just going to keep letting it cook and keep, every single shirt we sell is, that's one more member for each 5 of those organizations. So
yeah, it's huge. Again, like we were saying earlier in the show, and we'll continue to say, these organizations are hurting, especially ones that are really relying on the in-person banquets. It's a struggle, man. Have you found out some specific numbers or anything you'd like to share from some of these groups in regards to where they are?
Yeah, I didn't get actual numbers on like how many members they lost over the last year because of, the lack of banquets and that type of stuff. But I mean, collectively, it is millions and millions of dollars that did not come in simply because both local and national chapters could not have these events that they rely on. Now, I think going forward, it will be beneficial in the long run because it probably forced a lot of these organizations to learn how to do a lot of stuff online. And now going forward, they're going to be able to do both as states open back up, and after the pandemic, you'll be able to have in-person and virtual events. And I think that'll be a big thing going forward. But man, like in a single year, the loss was catastrophic. So it
really was.
Yeah. This was, this whole initiative was also just a way to try to help them out as much as we can, and really just shine a light on all of the work that they do. So the last week I did takeovers for each of the organizations through the Public Land Tees page. And I think starting tomorrow, I'm going to do it on my personal page, just kind of like go back through each organization and talk about like the membership benefits, what those organizations are really about, how much your membership means to those organizations and why you should be, even if it's not buying our shirt and becoming a member of all 5, why you should be involved at some level.
Yeah. And I would say on a personal level, on even a selfish level, if you want to put it this way, you become a member of this organization, any of these organizations. BHA, I definitely know for sure. You now have access to, whether you use it or not, a local, state, and even regional group of people, whether you're a new hunter or a veteran, that you can now go to and be a part of, right? There's even this podcast has its own state chapters. And I think that kind of community, that communal response to conservation is as cool as anything. Yeah. And it is useful for your $25 or whatever, how many ever, $125 in this case to join a bunch of organizations. You're able then to immediately pull in a community of people that care about what you care about. Immediately.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the most powerful tools is just being connected to all the people in your local area.
And I would pay $25 just to have that, access to that community and understanding, because there used to be hunting clubs when I was a kid. My dad belonged to a hunting club, and it was kind of about access to ground, but it was also about access to a bar somewhere in the middle of nowhere where a bunch of people hung out that did the same thing you did. So this is it. People don't forget about, not only are you giving, but you have the opportunity to get a ton back. But you just have to go out and be active in that.
Yeah. I was actually, I've been a member of a lot of groups for a long time now, but I'll be honest, I didn't do a big deep dive into all of each organization's membership benefits. You get the member card and you get the decal and you're a member, but man, most of them offer discounts to their partners, like big companies like BHA, you get a discount on First Light and Filson and Vortex and different stuff. So, just like that's one example, but all of them do it. And it's been fun to really take a deep dive into what each of these groups is doing to help protect, collectively, like hunting heritage for the future.
Really? Yeah. And to your point earlier, I remember talking to Lan Tawney I was on a committee for BHA about the rendezvous last year. We did a virtual rendezvous. I hosted a lot of events. It was fun, man. Fun time. And we had the exact conversation that, what you just mentioned. I said to him, listen, this is going to be hard to do, to scramble together. We're going to lose a lot of money not having an in-person rendezvous. It's going to hurt. It's like a gut punch right now. But what we're going to be we're going to be tougher next time, and we're going to have modernized, and we're going to find new ways to innovate, find new ways to get people together. And I remember having that virtual rendezvous and thinking, man, that was cool as hell. We should be doing that every single time, and I'm sure we will be.
Yep.
And so again, to your point, innovation in the conservation space has been rare, relatively rare. There was like a bunch of established ways to get people together. Banquets, as we mentioned, is one of them. Conventions is another one. And when those things get wiped off the map, I've seen Wild Sheep had an awesome digital convention here recently. SEI has been doing some good stuff. And so we've seen, I guess you could call it modernizing some of the ways we gather when we couldn't gather in person. So I think that's another big wave coming here.
Yeah.
It connects to what you're doing for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you as always. Thank you for joining our pact to come to hunt with us this year on the turkey tour.
Yep.
You've promised.
I promised.
On the podcast. Don't let the listeners down. As you can tell, I just need to convince Sam that this is top priority to come hunt with me.
Yeah. I'll make it happen.
It's top priority.
I'll be there.
Either way, good luck this season. It's turkey season. There's nothing anybody can do to bring me down.
No.
I am so hot right now. I have 2 turkeys in the bag. There's nothing. I'm just floating on the cloud.
That's good.
Floating on the cloud.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Sam Soholt. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Tell everybody one last time where they can go to get themselves a t-shirt.
Go to publiclandtees.com. It is the first item on the page, the Conservation Crossing tee. You can't miss it. There's more information about it there. So, yeah, go join all 5 organizations right now. That's all I can say.
It's got a bear. Is that grizzly bear? Grizzly bear, mule deer, wild turkey, pheasant, mallard duck.
That's right.
Bam.
Yep.
Do it.
Do it.
That's it. That's all. Thank you to Samuel Soholt and his brother Josh Soholt. Public Land Tees, publiclandtees.com, Public Land Tees on all the social medias. A really cool thing that they've been doing pretty much constantly, but this particular program is as cool as anything they've done thus far. So if you have $125 and you want to support it, please do. It's important to keep folks like Sam in our industry working, being innovative around how to get people to think about conservation. And I'll tell you, he's just all around good dude regardless. So support Sam and his brother Josh and all that they do. If you don't mind, we thank you. So Phil.
Yeah.
We are roughly a month away from your hunt. A lot of people were like you said earlier in the show, a lot of people were asking about it. Where's Phil? Is he hunting with you? I'm leaving Saturday to go on a 2-week-long turkey tour. Again, without you.
Yep.
I just want people to understand that Phil and I have scheduled our hunt for the first week of May. And that every time
Will
you
I
see
have
me,
fired a gun by then? Nobody knows.
Nobody
Tune
knows.
in to find out.
But I'm leaving on a jet plane. And I'm going to go a 2-week turkey tour with the folks at First Light, Ford Van Fossen, Kevin Harlander, our friends at First Light.
Ooh,
It's
an all-star crew.
It's an all-star crew. So the NWTF is on board with our 2-week-long turkey tour. We're calling it the Trek for Turks or Turkey Telethon. Stick in. You're going to be pretty soon. You're going to be hearing a lot of details. We'll talk about it next week, obviously, on the show. A lot of details on how our Trek for Turks is going to raise money for the NWTF. We've mentioned on the show prior, and we've had a lot of fun with Cameo about the fact that we needed to raise money for the NWTF. Banquet season is going to be sketchy. There's a lot of people getting vaccinated, so maybe there is a more robust banquet season than we thought earlier in the year. But the lack of large gatherings is hurting turkey conservation in a way that is very serious. So part of my 2-week, I don't want to break all the news. I'll let First Light do it, but part of the 2-week turkey tour is basically a telethon. We're going to be cranking out content while we're in the field, throwing stuff on Instagram, asking people to go to First Light's website and sign up to be a member for some awesome benefits exclusive to signing up on the First Light website. So all that's coming. I'm excited about that. So just so everybody knows the schedule, 2 weeks of me turkey hunting, sans Phil, which means no Phil, unless he just shows up in camp without Phil.
Yes.
And then somewhere around the first week of May, Phil and I will be in the field. And then we will have taken our Weatherby 18i out, and we will have put some work in with it. Okay? You good?
I'm great.
Anything else you want to say?
No. How have you been? I haven't seen you in a while.
I'm good.
You feel good? Feel healthy?
Do I look healthy?
Yeah, I told you look great.
All right, thanks. No, I feel good. I feel healthy. I've had a little long COVID symptoms. I've been telling people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been having that. Yep, a little ringing in the ears, fatigue. It's not
Jeez,
fun.
man, you got hit.
I got hit.
It sucks.
It's not fun. But beyond that, family's good. It's spring, turkey season. I'm telling you, dude, you could tell me anything, and it wouldn't ruin my mood right now. You could, literally anything, and I'd say that's fine. Can I turkey hunt? Because I look back to last year. We look back to last year. Turkey hunting basically got canceled.
Pretty much,
Remember?
yeah.
We're sitting around there like, oh, they canceled in South Dakota. Oh, they canceled in Nebraska. Oh, they canceled it here. And I didn't kill a turkey. And now that I'm 2 turkeys deep, I spent the morning with my son talking about what a turkey breast is and a turkey tender and a turkey thigh and a turkey leg. And I was flying around, shooting turkeys in the face. It feels good to be back. And I feel inspired, Phil, as always. So what do you want to say before we go? Let's not drag this out.
I don't have anything to say.
You could just say bye.
I beat Dark Souls 3 last night, Ben.
Nope. Say bye.
It's a pretty tough game.
No,
I was proud of myself.
Nobody wants to hear that.
I've beaten 4 of the Soulsborne games.
You haven't.
Directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki.
Directed by? It's a video game.
Dude.
How does anybody do it?
You have so much to learn.
How does a this is a co-mentor. It's a mentor-mentor relationship.
Anyway, I've beaten
how do you
Bloodborne,
direct a video game?
Sekiro, Dark Souls 3, and the Demon Souls
How do you
remake.
direct a video game? It's deterministic.
First of all, video games, so many different art forms and disciplines come into one product. There's cinematics, there's game design, there's programming, coding. art direction. All these things have to come together to form a cohesive product. It doesn't always go well. But when it does, you can thank the director of the video game.
The director? You think you would come up with a different? That's fine. Take the title of director. My title at Meat Eater is director of hunting. I've never directed a hunt in my life. So I guess the fellow you just
strip your title then.
Yeah, strip my title.
No. Anyway, I got the first dose of the Pfizer vaccine a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I'm 2 weeks in. Feeling good.
You feeling okay?
Getting that second dose next week. Yeah.
All right.
Feeling great.
All right. Phil's vaccinated. We're moving on next week. More turkeys, more fun. We're trying to recruit Robert C. Jones come back. Talk about more vegan stuff.
Please do.
But really right now all we're thinking about is turkeys. So if you want to write in thc@meateater.com, it better be about turkeys. That's all we're going to read for the next 2 months. I'm going to try to get 10, by the way. Think I can get it?
Yes.
So I got 2 in a bag. I got 6.
Dude, you're going on a turkey tour. Honestly, I'll be mad if you don't get 10.
Well, if I could just shoot 10 and it wasn't like illegal, I would just shoot 10. So it's a numbers thing at this point. I got 2 turkeys in a bag.
Uh-huh.
Possibly 7 tags on this turkey tour, but right now I purchased only 6. I think I could buy another one in Nebraska.
Have you ever gotten 10?
No, I've only ever
What's
gotten
the most you've ever gotten?
7, I think.
Oh,
or 8.
okay.
But I never started with. Well, I guess I've probably had 2 this early before. I definitely have. But I just feel like I gotta have it. I gotta do it. The turkey meat will sustain my family, and if God forbid, society crumbles in the next 6-8 months, we'll be living off turk. You can come over, bring your turkey meat, we'll commune.
Yeah.
We'll have it.
Great.
So everybody root for me. I can get up to 7 on this turkey tour. So it's possible by around April 24th, I'll have 9. And then it's just like, then we're just sweeping it in. Then we're just doing it. Then we're living it. Just sailing right in. So everybody think about that when you go to sleep tonight. Say bye, Phil.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Clean your gun and tune your bow. We're the Hunting Collective Show. Calling hunters new and old. The Hunting Collective Show. Working pick and shovel or working pen in hand. We congregate now as lovers of the land. Mindful and we're focused. We're just living for the search. Dreaming of a fire and a salty Gilbert. But we ain't coming back till it's cold and late. Taking it slow so we can shoot straight. Clean your gun, tune your bow. We're the Hunting Collective Show.